So let's just hop right in so you can see it. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to be going back and forth, so hang in there with me. I have some slides to show you that I created on Canva. I have other screen share stuff to show you as well, and of course the materials. So I'm going to hop right over to my screen. You should be able to see the first slide, which is the title slide. It says 5 ways to make your online course stand out in the age of AI. All right. And I'm just going to hop right through again, keeping an eye on the comments as well. So here's what we're going to cover today. The new course launch and the bonuses. I'll talk more about that later. The massive challenge for course creators today. 5 ways that you're going to be able to tackle it with ease. This is not stuff that's tech heavy at all or complicated. And this is not stuff that you can do with AI. It's stuff that AI might be able to help you with a little bit for ideas, but it doesn't replace you. It can't ever replace you on this. I have a bonus handout that I'll give you the link to at the end, which basically has a summary and details of everything I'm going to cover, all the examples, and I'll explain what the early bird deal is as well. All right. So let's just hop right in. I did say I'd give you a quick peek at the new course. This is just for now. It's about how to acquire your ideal coaching clients. It can be tailored to consultants and service providers that would just require some changes in some of the wording and examples. And those are some places that things like ChatGPT can help you with. That's one of the great things there, where AI is going to be your friend in customizing courses. It focuses on attracting, converting, and retaining your ideal clients. You get a full set of materials, student, instructor, lead generation, and you'll be able to apply what you learned today to that course. Some of the examples I give are specific to that course, but you can apply what you learned today to pretty much any course, any online course at all. I can give you a quick, very quick look at the sales page and overview before I jump in, because I know people are going to ask me anyway, and you should be able to see it just so you know where you can see an overview. So when you go to this page, which is contentsparks.com/get-coaching-client, hopefully an obvious name, you'll land on this page and you can scroll down and see a little bit about it. You'll see the overview of what's covered in the course. So it's around it'll go through some of the initial stuff people always have to do before going into marketing and all the rest of that and selling, which is clarifying your niche and target market, building a strong personal brand, getting your marketing message really clear, creating packages, really clear coaching packages. And that's another thing where there's examples that you can tweak for other types of businesses. Selecting your marketing activities, developing a lead magnet, that's really important. Generating coaching leads, so different ways to do that. Qualifying your leads, so things like a qualifying questionnaire. Actually selling your coaching packages and onboarding new clients. And there's an overview of some more of the details covered in each of those if you scroll down the page. So I'm not going to go into that part in a lot of detail here. Later, I can show you some of the materials. But basically, there's, the module 1, you can see what the different lessons are in there. This is a great sort of thing to pull out and do as a separate module. Creating a strong personal brand, what makes you different, what's your message, structuring your packaging, developing your marketing plan, so focusing on really practical marketing activities and having a really concise one-page plan, developing a lead magnet and opt-in form. We even give some ideas for that and some text, putting your marketing plan into action, how to build trust, qualifying. I said there's qualifying questionnaire and structuring your discovery conversation, selling, looking at some of the psychology behind that and some of the strategies, ethical strategies for selling. Important to also have onboarding in there. We don't cover a ton. There's a whole separate course on that you could get if you wanted to on onboarding customers. and then next steps as well. So the overview is over on the page. You'll also see some screenshots, materials list where you can, click on the tabs and see everything that you get, and the early bird bonuses, challenge kit, and an 8-part video series template. So I, again, can show you that a little bit later as well. Okay, so that's a sales page. Any questions? Like I said, I will keep a lookout for them, but let us get back to the meat of the training and get back to, like I said, I'm going to be switching back and forth between screens here, so bear with me. All right, that was your super fast, quick peek into the offer today. So as I said, you get these materials, online course materials, course book, you'll have a slideshow, you'll have all sorts of other things. And there are a gazillion, as I say, courses out there, online courses out there, where the course creators are basically lazy. They create a few videos. If you're lucky, you might get a transcript of the video, which is easy to do with something like AI these days. So there's really no excuse not to have it. If you're even luckier, you'll have the kind of cheat sheet that we put together that's the summary, so that people can watch the video, but also have their cheat sheet, their notes, cliff notes, so that they don't have to go back and look at each thing. They can get an overview. But rarely do people go much beyond, say, the video and the worksheet. And in those sorts of situations, those sorts of courses, students, only the really dedicated ones are going to see results, and they certainly aren't going to see the best results. You're going to get the majority of people maybe starting out, if they look at it at all, getting a little bit of progress, and then dropping off. They're not really going to get it. And a lot of times with those videos, I don't know about you, but when I get a course that's mostly video, I just never really get to it. I never get involved in it. I maybe put it aside and say, oh, I'll watch it tomorrow. It's very hard to get the deep results. Even I'll look at the worksheets. The worksheets are really helpful, especially if they have good instructions and templates to them. Those are much more helpful. But when you have something called blended learning, that's when you really get the results. And this is something that's been around a long time. You'll hear some people talk about the latest, greatest thing with hybrid learning. Well, blended learning has been around for years. It's been around since I first started in the instructional design field in the 90s, in the early 90s. So this is nothing new. But for some reason with online courses, people have forgotten about it, or like I said, gotten too lazy to do those few extra steps, which you can do. So with the blended learning, it's a mix of media. It's a mix of live, self-study, and maybe some other interactive elements that can go on that can be virtual because we have that technology. It helps students really process what they learned and apply it versus just passively consuming it by watching a video. They get a much deeper understanding. They retain the information better. And like I said, it doesn't have to be complicated at all. You don't have to set up a whole complicated system. So I'm going to show you the 5 different ways, and there's lots more, but 5 easy ways that you can use that you can apply, and you can apply it with the course. The examples I'll show are from our latest release, the one on acquiring your ideal clients. All right, but this is all about things that are not AI. So the first method I want to talk about is discussion forums or communities. You call it online communities, learning communities. And these are a place where people can share their thoughts and questions, comment on things. The most common thing you'll see is a Facebook group. Oops, sorry, I whacked my microphone. The most common thing you will see is a Facebook group, right? Or there are other types of things. There's a platform called Circle, I think it's .so, that you can embed in sites like Teachable. Other ones have it built in. But this is a place where people can learn from each other. So that's why it's often called a learning community. It promotes some more critical thinking. So long as you're doing discussion starters that get people thinking, you can trigger some discussion, some conversation going on. And that's where people start to learn from each other. They also get a chance to see different perspectives. So while it's nice to have one-on-one coaching with people, when you have one-on-one coaching, they don't get that perspective of other people. And again, this isn't something you can do with AI. You can get AI to help you with ideas for discussion starters. That's great. You give it a topic. And I've absolutely done that. It's really helpful. You can't use exactly what it puts out, but you can get ideas for that. But you have to be in there. You need to moderate, see what's going on. If there's no discussion, trigger it more with more questions and more starters. It also helps people clarify their thinking. So if you get a discussion going on a topic like, marketing messages, and ask people to share theirs, it forces them to really start thinking and clarifying it, especially when other students join in and comment on it and give some feedback and say, oh, I didn't really understand what you were talking about there. People tend to put a marketing message together that sounds very clever, but then when you share it in this discussion forum that's private just for your students, then they'll get that feedback of, I like this one better than that one, or that really doesn't make sense to me at all, but it sounds good. So it's important to do that. It's important to moderate. And like I said, Facebook, you'll see that with groups, Circle, that you can embed in other places that have it. Some are better than others. Like New Zenler has a community, but it really isn't set up that way. So you'll have to look and see what your options are. All right, so that's discussion forums. Now, just as some examples of starter discussion points, so it's hard sometimes to get that going. You can't just leave it to the community unless you have a massive community. And even then, you need to push that discussion. So based on, these are examples again for the course that we just released on how to attract or acquire your ideal coaching clients. So you can ask questions like, what do you wish you knew about your ideal client? What insights have you gained from market research? So you can ask these after, if you're doing it live, after each session, after each recording, or just have it timed out. So there's a market research section. You can ask a question about that. When you get to talking about packages and coaching packages and pricing, you can ask, how do you ensure your package pricing reflects the value? Or how do you think you can? Or, base it on who your students are and where they are, what they could answer with thinking, but not thinking too hard. Share an example of your marketing message. That's a great one for people to get feedback. What's a strategy you plan to implement right away and why? So this will also force people to really commit to taking action. What strategies are you using to build trust with clients? So that's another one. You can throw it out there. You'll get some more experienced people answering the question, other people saying, oh, I think I could do this or that. This has worked for me before, that hasn't. Things like common objections. What have you encountered? How do you deal with it? Again, you'll get a mix of people with different experience, different perspectives answering that. What's your favorite strategy for closing a sale? That's another one. So I hope you can start seeing how these sorts of questions will get people thinking, will get people interacting, will make your course that much more valuable, because that's where the discussion is going on, and that's where the real learning is going on. So the more you can do that, the better. And it does not take a lot of time. You set up the community, set yourself some time every day to post a question, set yourself some time to moderate it and answer questions wherever you can as well. And as you get to know your students, you can even refer some questions to other students, sort of call them out and tag them. Say, Evelyn, you've had experience with this. Can you answer such and so's question? Or what's your opinion? What's your perspectives? So that's something you can start to do as well. Maybe keep notes on your different students and what their experience level is as well. So that's discussion forums. Again, I'm keeping out an eye for comments. So if you have any, let me know. I'm looking for them. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep plowing through so I can cover everything. So the next one is interactive quizzes and polls. Now, this is another thing that's quite easy for you to set up, both with the quizzes that we give you in courses, and also this is another place that you kind of get some help from ChatGPT for ideas if you ask it the right questions. So you have to give it context and tell it exactly what you want it to do. And then you have to check everything. Because I've tried asking it things where it comes up with something completely random, even though I think I've given it enough information. And these are your opportunity to assess people's learning. So a lot of course platforms have this option built in where you can quickly set up a quiz, like the ones we give you in the upgrade packs at the end of each one of your modules, each one of your lessons. And that's a nice little interactive way. It gives people a more superficial level of feedback on their learning, but it makes it more interesting and makes them go back and check their work. So when you can do those live as well, say after they've watched the video, have them come in, do the live session and ask them the quiz questions, then you can clear up some of the points or identify points of confusion. Depending on how you set it up, if you do the quizzes and you see where people got things wrong, some course platforms let you see that, then you can see where there is confusion and you need to do some more explanation. It gives you insights for course updates as well. So something like a poll asking people how they felt about a certain module or what was missing. That's kind of like evaluation or feedback forms, which is something we give you also as a starting point. That would give you some insights on where to update things for the next time you deliver it. And of course, when you do this live, like I said, you generate discussion. A couple questions coming in at the moment. Charles said, do you recommend also using discussion forums to start conversations direct from the course material? I'm not sure exactly what. Oh, sorry, you clarified it, Charles. More specifically, encourage participants to use the discussion forums to ask their specific questions from the course materials. So I'm not sure I understand still exactly whether you're saying to put that in, because what I would do to get discussion going is rather than putting it in the student guide, I might put it either right in your course platform. So like watch the video below, note your questions, and then go here to ask them. Here's our community, go over here. And in emails as well, if you can drip out the emails pointing people to each day's video. And in that email, in the PS, say, once you've completed this, head over to this link in a discussion forum in our community and join in the conversation, ask your questions. Or you can have a prompt for that day, answer this question in the community. So those are some different ways. It depends on the course materials. You could put it in there as well. Always put the link to the community. Really depends how you set it up too. If you have a course where you're going to be delivering the same course multiple times, you have it kind of set and you have those materials, you might have a community that's limited just for when you have the course live, in which case you're not going to want to put the link into your materials. You're going to want to put that into whatever emails you have, or you can update it in the course platform. So hopefully that's not too long-winded an answer to your question. And I even got it right. All right, so just going back again to here, we've got course platforms do have a lot of these built in as well. Live stream ones do. I'm using StreamYard right now to do a live stream. I don't think it has a poll feature, not that I've tried. I'm pretty sure that Zoom does. I know a lot of webinar platforms do. I used to use Demio, which has that. I have one called Big Marker. So webinar platforms often have that in for doing polls as well. Or you could make it, so long as you have a comment stream, like I lost a connection as well. I'm sorry, everybody. Can you let me know where I left off? Okay, we're back. I'm gonna just start from that point again, just to make sure that I haven't lost you, so that I make sure I cover it. So this was the sample poll question I said you could ask in something like a Facebook group, and depending on the platform you're using. And this is related to getting a sense of where people are right from the beginning of the course. So what's the biggest challenge you face in acquiring your ideal coaching clients? And you can put places in for potential answers like identifying my ideal clients, communicating my value proposition, overcoming objections, closing the sale, or other. Give people a place where they can put in the comments. So you've probably seen this before in Facebook, and you'll want to see it on any other live stream or webinar platform. A lot of webinar platforms have this. Or you can do it in something like I'm using in StreamYard, do more of a yes, no. Okay, can you see the next poll question that says, which marketing channel do you find most effective for acquiring coaching clients? That's the other sample I put up here. So this is just an example of another poll question you could ask. It's really, really simple. And this is another thing you can do in your group, or really quick thing for somebody to answer when they're actually on a live stream. And you can get some idea when you're teaching, when you're doing the live stuff, where people are. Are most people using social media? Are most doing networking? Are most relying on referrals? And then you can tailor, as you're talking, tailor the answers. All right. So say a good portion of your students, as you're going through, say, networking events, you can then follow up and say, okay, what have you found to be the most helpful networking events? How do you prepare? You can get a whole discussion going, especially if you do something like post this in your community. You can get a discussion going on there among students where they'll get ideas for networking, ideas for which social media is working, how they use it. You get a whole bunch of learning going on there that you wouldn't get otherwise, but by them just watching a video, doing a worksheet. You have to add this sort of extra value in there. So the next method, number 3 out of 5, is live Q&A sessions. So this is kind of the easiest thing that you can do, but you do have to manage your time. So if you have a group live Q&A, simple thing to do. You can use Zoom, you can use StreamYard like I'm doing now. Let's see, where was I? Live Q&A sessions. Look at that. I picked the right one right away. This is an example really of a training, but I could do a Q&A that just talks about things from the last module in a course. And you can explore in a little bit more detail, a little bit and questions that you've received. So as you go along, you can ask people to send in their questions on things they didn't understand. And then the next week or a few days later, give people time to do some of the work. You do a live Q&A where they bring their questions, or you can use something like Google Forms for them to send in their questions in advance. I used to do that when I did this via a VIP live thing where twice a month we had calls, and I did it via Zoom, and people submitted questions in advance. So first you deal with the ones people sent in advance, and then you deal with ones on the spot. And so then you can also address anything back and forth, bring on someone live, any misconceptions people have, make sure everyone's on the same page. The only point here is facilitating it can be very tricky, and managing the time, especially if you have a lot of people and you want some of them to be able to ask. Either you can say, okay, I'm going to stay on for as long as it's necessary to answer questions, or you can say, okay, each person gets 5 minutes. Or you can say, okay, we're going to deal with the questions that people sent in first, and then afterwards, if we have time, we'll do other ones as they come up. And if we can't get to them, then I'll answer them by email or in the next section, or in the next session. Sven, you asked, what do you prefer, PowerPoint, Canva, StreamYard, Zoom, or a combination of these? I use a combination. So some of them, it depends on the live sessions, of course, Zoom, unless you're talking about recording video. But Zoom I like to do to see everybody's faces for a smaller group. I've been on some Zoom ones where there's 100 people and you can only see people on one screen. So I like that too. It's nice as the moderator to be able to see people's faces, and as a participant to also see some of the faces, but it can also be a little bit distracting. So Zoom I really like. StreamYard, which I'm using now, I also really like because it's so easy for me to multi-stream. So for this kind of thing where I want to be able to have it in different places, give people different options where it's live, that's really great. And it's just very easy for me to switch screens here and there. They're also really great for live real-time help. I've been on sessions where I had a problem and I asked for feedback from them. And while I was on the session, they gave me tips. Now that's more useful when you have someone who's doing it with you so that one person can still be talking while the other one's getting help. PowerPoint for slides, Canva for slides, those are great for recording video. And I often use Snagit just to capture the screen. I find that just quick and easy for me. Go with what's easiest for you. You can record inside Canva too. And I think I've found in some ways Canva easier to record from than PowerPoint now, but PowerPoint's upping their game. All right, so anyone else have preferred tools? Definitely drop them into the comments so that we can all see what everyone loves. But this is, Google Meet was another one I mentioned. I don't use Google Meet, but I've been on sessions with people that use Google Meet or Microsoft Teams for those sorts of Q&A things for smaller ones. Just moving on, where was I? PowerPoint and ScreenFlow, Walter says, yeah, I know a lot of people love ScreenFlow. So it's kind of like Snagit too. So talking about the Q&A. Now, in this handout that I'm going to give you at the end, I generated some potential questions that you could possibly get when you do a Q&A on different topics from the coaching course, from the How to Acquire Your Ideal Clients course, and came up with just some sample answers. Now, these sorts of answers are very generic because you would probably ask for more detail from someone. So if they say, like, I've conducted market research, but I'm not sure how to interpret the data. Can you provide some guidance? I need help. You might say, okay, you want to look at the key trends first. Are there common needs or challenges that your target audience faces? Look for those first. Where are people asking a question or saying they have a particular challenge? Look at those first. Use it to tailor your coaching services and marketing messages in the next activities in the course. So we're going to be doing more, but interpreting your data, that's something that's a little tougher. Or you may have a favorite trick, and that's how you would answer it. So this is just to show you that there are some general types of answers that you can think about in advance before a Q&A. If you know people are likely to ask that, then you can prepare some answers, and based on what you get back, you could add things back into the course too, into the course materials. You see what's most helpful. So another question that someone might have is, okay, something like, I've been qualifying leads, but I'm not converting them into clients. What could I be doing wrong? It could be a number of things. Maybe the leads aren't as qualified as you think. So go back to your questionnaire, your qualifying questionnaire, see if you need to adjust the questions. Or maybe your sales process needs refining. It could be that your coaching services aren't aligning with their needs. Get feedback from these leads. So pull out different things, but you would again probably ask for more information. You're doing a Q&A where you're delving a little bit deeper. So you could say, okay, well, what are you doing now? What are you doing to qualify leads? Or have you been measuring it? Have you been getting feedback? What have you been asking them? And then, okay, I recommend you do this first. Ask them why they didn't sign up, that kind of thing, and get feedback on that. So really rough potential answers to questions. And let's just go into method 4. So method 4, practical assignments. Now, just to note, we always try to make all our assignments really, really practical. That's a key part of when we're designing a course, making sure everything's actionable, everything people can apply to their world, to their business, their situation. So always be doing that. This is particularly important for adults. Kids, some of them, not all mine, might just accept that they have to learn something because they've been told to learn it. But with adults, they really need to see the connection and be able to apply it right away. And especially when you start out that way, you're going to get the results for people, and they're going to be really, really happy when they see it in action in their business and see those results. So something like the course on acquiring ideal coaching clients, they're going to apply that to their business, make sure they're really clear on their target audience, make sure they have a coaching package with a clear value proposition, make sure that they have a lead magnet set up. So they're gradually building as they go through. And you can always encourage sharing in the community. And that's, again, a place where you're going to stand out because you're going to have that community or Q&A where people can share and get feedback. That's where the real value of your course is going to come in. It keeps them motivated. Like when they see the results in their own business, they're going to keep wanting to go through. So every single lesson that you do needs to have a real world application, not just a reflection. Maybe reflection's nice in the beginning to get their mindset, but I always like to just apply it. I don't want to just be thinking about it and talking about it. I want to apply it. And you can tailor any of the course assignments that come with our courses to fit your audience. So you might give examples that fit with your audience. Again, here's a place that ChatGPT can help you. Change the example to fit your audience. Just ask it, give it one example, and then ask it to change that. So actually, let me see if I can show you that. I did. Here, let me first show you the example I have here. So these are just some sample activities that you can add. So these are things that are really easy to add, especially with a soft skills course. Role plays work really well. So that's the kind of thing where you can have students pair up and practice a conversation. It doesn't have to be in person. This is something you can do on a platform like Zoom, where they have breakout rooms. So you can pair people up into breakout rooms, give them assignments, say, okay, practice delivering your marketing message. Get some feedback from the other person. When people say it out loud with someone else, they start to see where there's issues and they get the feedback. Peer review, you can also match people up or tell them to share it. They can share assignments, not just in the learning community, but one-on-one. You can do case studies, so relevant examples that they can analyze and discuss. Again, this is something you can use ChatGPT for if you give it the right parameters and the right questions. Tell it exactly what you want the case study to be on, what you want in it, what kind of questions should be there, what to analyze. So you have to be really have a good structure for that and tell it. A reflection journal where they can just track their progress. That's the kind of thing that you can add. You can set up really easily in Canva if it doesn't crash on you like it just did for me. But you can set that up. There are a lot of templates in there for journals. You don't necessarily need to buy a journal. You can see them. There are ones for sale too, but that you can tailor to yourself. Guest speakers are great. I had someone not long ago from the AI Success Club who did a terrific, a really terrific presentation for us. I have someone else coming on the 26th who's going to be talking about video and using Descript for video. He's an expert. I couldn't even begin to give you advice on that, but he'll come on and do that. So having guest speakers and continuing that network is something that's really helpful. And people love to do that, to come and share. A mock sales pitch is kind of an interesting thing that you could also do in a course like this, where you don't have to have it live again, face to face, but you could in a classroom or in a special event, but you can also do it virtually. So Zoom again works well for this, where you can put someone in the hot seat, have them prepared in advance, come on camera, get some practice and get some feedback from the group. That's the kind of thing you could do in the role play also, but it's not a role play, it's more their actual sales pitch. So that works really well also. I think we're up to number 5. Let me see. Personalized feedback. Before I get to that, I want to just quickly show you what I was talking about with using ChatGPT to rewrite examples. So you can use it for case studies or other things. So I wanted to try and get it to give examples that weren't coaching for a couple things in the course. So if you go into any of our course books and you search the word example, you'll see different examples come up and you might want to rewrite those. So for instance, let's hope I'm not overloading my system here. Say I open up the course book for how to acquire your ideal coaching client, right? You should be able to see this now. You can see the table of contents and all the materials in there, right? If I go into the Home tab and I go to Find on the top, I don't think you can see my mouse on this screen. And in the navigation on the left, I'm just going to put in the word example. And it will come up and highlight all the things that are examples and bring you to those in the book. And you're probably going to want to change some of them if these don't match, but you can go through. So for instance, I might want consulting examples in here. So here it says, here are some examples of coaching niches and different target markets a coach might want to work with. And the examples are health and wellness, career coaching, business coaching, with a little description of the target market. So what I can do is go over to ChatGPT. I already put this in so that we don't have to worry about it crashing too much. And I'm using GPT-4 because this is the paid one. It's $20 a month. And this just gets you better results. The 3.5 one isn't great. And I put in, I'm teaching a course on how business consultants can acquire more of their ideal clients. When they refine their ideal client profile, I need examples of different niches and target markets they might serve. What are 5 examples of potential business consulting niche and target market? And I had told it what tone to do because I always like to use a friendly conversational tone. And it gave some answers: healthcare, sustainability, and green business. But I realized I hadn't given enough parameters for the format of how I wanted the answer to be, because I wanted it the same as in the course book. So the same where it's really concise. So then I did a follow-up question, because you need to give it follow-ups to get what you want. I said, can you now rewrite those to fit into the following format? This is a format I have for coaching niches, so I want to make sure it doesn't give me the wrong answer and start talking about coaching. I want you to rewrite the consulting niche examples in this same format. So the more specific you are, the better results. And sure enough, I got all these different examples. Coaching, I gave it, the ones I copied and pasted, just went in here and copied and then pasted back into here. All you do is Control Enter and then paste it in, Control V. And I told it, this is the format. And then it gave me examples in that exact same format. I asked for 5 because I only need 3, and you're never going to get all of them exactly what you want. So then what I could do here is I could say, take the first 3, and I'll edit them in the book itself. I can do Control C. I can do back to the course book, and I can just go Control V. And I don't know if you can see this little clipboard thing. You can make sure that you click on Merge Formatting so that it comes up in the same format as whatever document you're using. And then I go in and edit these. I don't want them to sound exactly the same. I, format the bold and stuff like that. Now I'm not going to leave those in because this is not, I'm showing you the real stuff right here. So hopefully that was helpful. I will show you one more because I know you guys are just obsessed with ChatGPT and AI. Isn't everybody? It's so distracting. The other one I said was I needed examples of marketing messages. So when I was in here looking at examples, because you then have to look again. The next one, I just sort of skimmed down and was looking for other ones that I might want to change. So I saw this thing stand out that says examples of marketing messages. And there are 2 in here, one for a personal development coach and one for a health and wellness coach. So again, I wanted something for consultants, and I could get them for those niches that I already identified before. But again, I want it in this format, and those are marketing messages and taglines. So you go back over to ChatGPT, and I said, great. Now I need new examples of marketing messages and taglines for different types of consultants. So I gave it the context first, like the high level, and then I went specific. Can you provide examples of a marketing message and tagline? Oh, it even auto-corrected it knew my typo was a typo. So marketing message and tagline for each of the niches you listed. I don't have to list them again. It should remember it. It was just in the previous one. Put it in this format that I used for my coaching examples. The part in quotes is the tagline, and the text before that is the marketing message example. So I'm really telling it exactly what to look at. So it hopefully won't get confused. So I copied and pasted that in, told it the friendly tone, conversational, and it came up with them. And look at that. It's got the marketing message and it's got a tagline in quotes. Now, of course, I'm not going to want to use these exactly as they are. You need to read each one. Some of them you may think are really bad. Some just, aren't really good examples in general or aren't on target. But you've got some new ideas to work with really quickly rather than sitting there and saying, oh God, I've got this course, this great PLR white label course, but these examples I need to change. It's going to take me ages to redo them. No, you can go right into ChatGPT and quickly come up with some ideas because you do want to make it unique to you. So that's it on ChatGPT at the moment. Let's go back to the other stuff we were talking about. So I'm going to go back to the 5th method of making your course stand out. So this is personalized feedback. Now, this is something that's one-on-one feedback. So it requires more of your time, and you're probably going to want to limit it unless you're charging a very high rate for the course. So if you say are charging $19.97 or $29.97, and I'm talking about $2,997, not $30 for a course, then people might expect a little bit of personalized feedback, maybe even more than a little bit. And that's the kind of thing you can give simply on just assignments in a course platform. There are ways for people to submit an assignment depending on the platform you're using, and then you to go in and be able to mark them up, which is, that can be very helpful. Or if it's something where they're submitting it via email, you can get on a quick Loom or ScreenFlow or whatever, or Snagit, and film yourself talking through it, giving them a quick answer. That's an even better way, because they're still having that connection with you, and it's quicker and easier for you to do also. I've been in courses where I've had that, and it was phenomenal. It was absolutely the best way to get feedback, and it felt more personal. So that's a really good thing to do with assignments. You can do it live as well, like one-on-one coaching, where you maybe at the end give them, or at certain key parts of the course where they need to be really on target before they move to the next section. That's a point where you can give one-on-one. What else? Key tips on doing that: always make sure that you do some reinforcement. Tell them what they did well. And these are some basic coaching things. You may already know that. It's probably a natural instinct for you anyway, especially if you've ever gotten feedback in the past. You know the things that are just don't work and actually demotivate you. So areas of reinforcement, giving real suggestions. I know coaching is meant to be helping someone come up with the answers themselves versus consulting, which is more recommending things. But it really helps if you give some suggestions. So if you're giving review on, say, their lead magnet in the coaching and the acquiring clients course, if you're giving them feedback on that, tell them what they did well. I like the way you use the images. I like the introduction. I love the way you formatted this beautiful lead magnet in Canva. But then suggest, I think you need to adjust the title a bit to have the target audience, or maybe you need to focus on a hook. Don't give them a ton of things at once, but give them very specific things to work on. Get them to ask questions. Get them to look at it themselves first, evaluate it first before they come for feedback as well. And it could be in small groups as well where people are giving feedback, but be careful of that. I mentioned Zoom, Snagit, Slack, email. Those are all different ways that you can give personalized feedback as well. So where are we here now? Let me see. I think we're getting close to the end. That was that. Yes, I'm back. I'm at the end of the 5 methods, and we can actually talk about the launch as well. But first, let me see if we had any other questions. So there is one. Sven said, is it easy to chain AI prompts in ChatGPT 4 in order to get the scope that you want? What I tend to do with these is I ask a very specific initial question, and then I ask follow-up questions. So I might start a little bit narrower and then do that chaining on. I'm not a programmer. I like using ChatGPT 4 because it is a more natural question and answer process. But I do try and give it specific context, a lot of context in the beginning. I have a style guide that I put into my profile. So if you go into your profile as well, I don't know if I can see it in here. I don't know, maybe it's just on my face. I don't know. Anyway, you can give it your style of how you want it to write things. And then you can give it the content from a sales page. You can give it a whole module from a course book. It's allowing more and more. So there are a lot of options there, but for doing things really simply, you start with having one chat that's for one course so that it knows, you tell it in the beginning what the course covers. And that way it has that context from the very beginning. You can even put in the table of contents. Say, this is my course, I'm teaching this, yada, yada, yada. Here's what the main modules and lessons are. Remember this. and wait for my next instructions. So you give it that context. Then it'll answer and say, okay, I've got that. What do you want me to do? And then you can go to the next one and say, okay, I need a new title for the course. My target audience is X. I am this. The main outcome of the course is this. Whatever. What are 10 possible titles? So there are a lot of different things you can do, and it will remember. Like here, as you can see in the example I did before, I was asking for examples of niches, and then I said, okay, great. Now I need marketing messages for each of those. Or I could say, okay, write me for the healthcare startup consultant, write a detailed ideal customer profile. Give me 3 examples of different ones. So it will remember that. So it's important to do that. Steve said, helpful tips. Sorry, I have the time wrong. Looking forward to listening to the full presentation. Well, hopefully, Steve, you didn't come in when too many times after I crashed my computer. It wasn't for too long, but you can skim past those places where it has a blank screen. But yeah, you can watch the replay as well. I did promise you a look at the course that we launched as well. And the high level view of that, where'd it go? Is right here on the slide. So the main thing that you need to know is that during this launch time is the lowest price we always do, which is 67% off. So you save $200. So it's only $97. And then there are 2 bonuses. We have one of our 5-day challenge kits, which I can show you. And something different that we tried this time, an 8-part video series template. So the course itself, I gave you a quick look at the course book, but the launch bonuses, which are only for the first week, are that challenge. So this is based on the opt-in report in the lead generation materials, but we put it into a format of emails, so daily emails, which you could also use as a live stream script or do both. Use this as your speaking notes. So there's instructions on how to do it. The big picture, read this first, is something you can do as a welcome, where you can get on camera. This can be in Zoom. I've done this in Zoom before. It works really well. Get people to register so that you have their emails, and then just follow up with each email and maybe a link to where you're going to do it live. And make sure you give them the worksheets, because we do give you worksheets. And there are a couple promo ones at the end for promoting your course, because at the end of the challenge, you want to promote your course. And so there are worksheets that we give you as well, which is great. Those don't come in the lead generation materials. So for each section where there's next steps, you'll give them the challenge is called 5 Ways to Stand Out as a Coach and Attract More Clients. So they get small wins here in the challenge, in that initial lead magnet, and then they're going to want to take the bigger course. So 5 Ways to Stand Out. There's a day 1 worksheet where they look at their current methods and ask clients for feedback. There's a day 2. I can't remember which each day is. Where they're looking at the unique value propositions, the real basic stuff. And there's different worksheets for that. And by the way, you could put these into Canva as well if you wanted, but don't go too crazy with making it really complicated or people can't fill it in. So that's the challenge. That's one bonus. And then the video series template is in Canva and Word. Let me show you the Word one. And this is really for you initially to use to promote your course, but we've kept it very generic with fill in the blanks so that it could be used for any course launch or really anything. So it has fill in the blanks, like 8 different videos. The first one is, okay, let's talk about this topic. Are you tired of doing XYZ? Are you tired of struggling to get new clients every single day and having to be satisfied with working with whoever comes along? Let's talk about it. And then you have a short video. So these are things that you can easily post on social media and start a conversation going on wherever your social media is, wherever your clients are, wherever your target audience is. So that's the first one. Then we've got discover my top 10 tips for XYZ. So here you've got a format. And I said I wasn't going to talk about ChatGPT anymore, but here's another thing where you could try to give it your whole detailed customer profile or ideal student profile and the details about the course and say, okay, I need an 8-part video series, or can you write a script for me based on this outline? So give it more specifics. I haven't tried that. I know people use it for video scripts. Sometimes I've never really found it that useful. The most useful thing is having the format, but it's worth trying if you get stuck. It's always worth trying, but not for too long. Otherwise, you've spent 2 hours trying to get it to produce something, and you start off with your own words anyway. So, up to you. It's become a big distraction. Sometimes I wonder whether it saved me time or wasted time, where the balance is. So trying to a cutoff point where you try and get it to help you with a couple different things, see what works, and then say, okay, that's it, I'm moving on, and use your own words. So there's things like giving a course features and sneak peek, exclusive offer, and going through to 8 different short videos. So that's a really nice little bonus. And again, this is just a bonus during the first few days. I'm not planning to sell this again. Maybe it'll be in the Thanksgiving bonus bundle, which is the only other time to get those sorts of bonuses from us that you have to buy. Anything else you want me to show while I'm on here? Because I'll try and do a little sneak peek video that I put onto the sales page for the course materials. But if you have specific questions about them, now is a great time, because we're already kind of over time, but I'm happy to answer some more questions on it if you have questions about the course. Again, it was on how to acquire your ideal coaching clients. But let me put the banner up as well. Get coaching clients. And that is, so it's at this place, and it is something that you could customize. That was something somebody asked me already in email. Can it be tailored to people like consultants or other types of people who are looking for clients? Yes, it can. I showed you how you could do a couple things for consulting to get different examples. You'll have to change the language. There are some pieces that maybe need to be altered more, like the qualifying questionnaire. If you're, say, a virtual assistant and you need to qualify someone. So that's, a virtual assistant isn't coach, but there are a lot of things that are in the same vein. Like you might have a specific approach how you work with clients, and you have packages, and you might want to qualify those people. So this course would work really well for virtual assistants. If you do bookkeeping services, that could probably work too. It might need a little bit more editing. So yes, you can adjust these. Steve asked, could you quickly address the opportunities and challenges you see in the industry now as a pre-AI content creator? So one of the main reason I did this training today is that the biggest challenge is standing out, because people are creating a lot of crappy courses, let's face it. And that's been going on, I know, for a long time. People have always been a bit lazy and just, I got to create an online course. And they do a few videos and they post them on a platform and they sell it, and nobody gets any results from it. They make some money, but it's really not a great course. That, I think, is only going to become worse with AI, because, and I did a live training on how to use ChatGPT to create a course, and I showed where it's helpful. The problem is it's really helpful at the idea stage, but not at the creation part. So people are using it to create that course content, and it's not good stuff. And unless you really know your topic and you really know what a good learning experience is, it's very difficult to get something that's useful out of it. And I think the market's going to be flooded with more and more of that. Will it let up as AI gets better or people realize those courses aren't very useful? I don't know. AI is evolving every day. But the opportunity is what the things I was discussing today, which is putting yourself into it. I've always talked about that as something important with our courses, the white label courses. It's more important than ever, and it doesn't have to be a lot of work. So just adding in those live Q&A sessions is going to make a huge, huge difference. Getting on camera and making that personal connection, people are going to crave that more and more. So that's your opportunity to really stand out. And while we're in this flux of people trying to figure out, how is it helpful? How is it not helpful? How do I get results? There's going to be people taking advantage of it. I've seen courses out all the time where people are saying, oh, yes, you can make $1 million a month by using AI. I don't believe that for a second, because it starts with being able to have all the basic stuff that we talk about. Who's your audience? What's your strategy? Who are you really focusing on? What's the pain and solution? And the AI will help you a little bit with that, but only if you give it the right information. It's all based on what it's been learning. And right now, a lot of that learning is old and it's not personal. It doesn't replace having a conversation with someone, having a conversation with your customer. It cannot ever replace that. But it can help with giving you ideas. So opportunities and challenges. And the same basics of good content still apply to both courses and other content, which is it has to be useful, it has to be interesting, it has to address questions people have. And that is somewhere that AI can start with the help. And it can write in perfect English, or I don't know about other languages, but it writes in other languages too. So you know that grammar is going to be correct, but it's not necessarily going to be interesting or have enough detail. And you can only push it for so long before it starts to hallucinate. So lots of your real opportunity here is in putting yourself in there and moderating the learning and giving people feedback and putting the element that AI can never do, and has always been, those elements have always been important in learning. Before I forget, I did promise you this handout as well. So contentsparks.com/standout course. What that is a lot of the summary of what I discussed today in a Google Doc. Where is it? So you're going to get a Google Doc like this, which is view only, and you just need to make a copy for yourself. I've been kind of updating it here and there as I go. That's why it's nice doing it as a Google Doc. So there's a little background, and there's some of the stuff that I talked about with those samples that I talked about as well. So those are in there, and they relate to the new course on how to attract your ideal coaching client. So that's contentsparks.com/standout course, and I can put that into the comments. It's, let me see, I have it as a pretty link. contentsparks.com/standout course. Hopefully I'm not typing this in wrong. There. You should be able to see that at least on Facebook and YouTube. LinkedIn doesn't let me post things. And the URL for the course launch is contentsparks.com/get-coaching. Whoops, I'm typing it in wrong. Coaching clients. Yeah, okay. So now you have both of those. So I'm just going to head back here, and I'm going to wrap up unless there are other questions that you have. Hopefully I didn't inundate you. Sorry so much about the couple times that the internet crashed and Canva crashed, but it's called live stream for a reason. Things happen, and at least I showed you an example of that too. Steve said, yeah, quality is a problem. Amazon has a big problem. AI generated books flood Kindle Unlimited. Yeah. Well, hopefully they won't get a lot of good reviews, and most people are generating those also, because you go by the reviews and you can tell. But yeah, that kind of stuff. I don't know what Amazon's going to do. I know somebody asked me about Google and whether any of this stuff is going to impact Google. I don't know. The stuff that I've read so far is because Google is also going to be using AI to answer questions, then it's not going to have an issue with things that are generated, content generated by AI. It really comes down to, like Steve, you said, the quality is what's important. So I don't mind something that's generated by AI if it's interesting, it answers my question, and it's, good quality. Usually that means you have to add to it. So generating a whole bunch of blog posts with AI and then not going back and editing it and adding to it or making sure that it's good, adding some more personality to it, then there's no point. Now, our stuff, most of it you're not going to be using on the web other than the blog posts. So it's not as much of an issue if you want to use some AI to add stuff to it or rewrite things. Rewrite the introduction in your voice for your audience. Absolutely, go for it. Give it your style guide of how you like to write. Give it a section and ask it to rewrite it without taking out any key points. It will take out some key points, so you'll have to go back and do that, but it will rewrite it in a different style. Absolutely, go for it. But check all of it. All right. And use it to create other things. I did in the training that I did, I think it was last month. I showed some examples where you can use it to come up with other things too. Tashara, have the LinkedIn audience been open to the AI craze, or are they more sticking to the tried and true methods of completing the tasks of their businesses? I'm sorry to say that I'm not on LinkedIn that much, even though I should be, but I haven't been anywhere yet where people aren't going crazy about AI. Hopefully it is calming down a little bit, but I also read somewhere that only 1 in 4 people have actually tried it. So all of you here are already on the cutting edge, because if you've tried it even a little bit, you know more than most people. So, but LinkedIn, since they're business people, they're going to be looking at it. Corporations are looking at it, looking at how to build it into whether it's chat bots or other areas. All right, I'm going to close up now, and you can always leave me a comment on Facebook. I'll see them more, or you can email. You can also email support@contentsparks.com, and either Fiona will answer that. She monitors all of that, or she'll ask me if she can't answer it. So that's always a good way to get answers to questions there, because she is my right-hand project manager and knows everything. What can I say? All right, time to sign off, everybody. I'm glad you found that helpful, and talk soon. Don't forget to get that handout as well. Take it easy. Bye.